Okay, I guess it's a good time to get started. So once again, very good morning to everyone, whoever has joined this session. Can someone please first confirm if I am properly audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are.
Thanks. All right. So as all of you would know that the purpose of this session is basically to take all of your doubts that are related to the project specifically. So in case all of you have doubts, maybe we can just get started with those, or if you want us to just walk through the problem statement once, and after that we can take the doubts. That is fine as well.
Can we
Yes,
try
sir.
to understand whatever the problem you given, so that at least you should know that what we understood, then you can clarify.
Okay.
This is
Okay,
the-
all right. So what will I do is I'll just open this problem statement and I'll just walk through the slides.
Okay, so can I start and explain what is the problem statement?
Okay, all right.
All are
So
okay. Otherwise, if they want to go by to explain to you, then you can go. All are okay.
no, I guess it's a good idea to start walking through the slides. I guess most of your doubts, I believe.
Yeah, then please start whatever question you will raise there. So, yeah.
Sure. Okay. I hope my screen should be visible to everyone
Yes,
by
sir.
now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Fine.
All right. So as you all know that the theme of this term's project is quantified self application. Those who have already completed modern application development one course in the Jan 2022 term, they already have created a project on the similar theme, that is quantified self application. But this time they would be required to make some changes in their existing project, and of course add a set of new features as well that are relevant for modern application development tools. So we'll just get started. So well, basically the quantified self word, as it is self-explanatory itself, it is basically something through which you can track something for yourself, right? So you can probably track your habits, you can probably track whatever whatever activities you are doing on daily basis. So these kind of activities can be tracked using such type of applications. So if we start with the frameworks that are allowed to be used for this particular problem statement, so you are supposed to use Flask for the backend. So it is meant for the API. That means your front end should be making some API calls to a backend that is built using Flask, and the front end that is making those API calls should be built using Vue.js. Apart from that, if you want, you can even use Vue CLI if you are feeling comfortable with it. But if you are a beginner and you are learning about these technologies for the first time, I would not recommend you to go with Vue CLI as of now. You can just go with Vue CDN, and that should serve the purpose for you. Jinja 2 templating is not allowed for this project specifically because we want all of the rendering to be done on the front end using Vue.js. And if we talk about Jinja 2 rendering, that happens on the server side. So that is not allowed. Bootstrap, etc. if required. Definitely, you can use Bootstrap for improving the aesthetics for your application. As far as the data storage is concerned, so you are supposed to use SQLite for that, Redis for the caching purposes, and Celery for the batch jobs. Redis is the message queue. So this last statement, it should be possible to run all of the demos on the student's computer, which should either be a Linux-based system or should be able to simulate the same, because as you might know that these Redis and Celery, both of these, may not directly function on the Windows based system. So you would be required to simulate some kind of Linux environment in order to start working with this. Yes, Arvind.
Sir, so I had a question, like when you're saying that there'll be API calls from Vue.js.
Yes.
So basically then we will get the data from the backend using Flask, right? And then that will basically be rendered with Vue.js, right? If I'm
correct. Yes. You will have to get the data, and yeah, you will have to write some Vue.js code so that it renders that data accordingly, whatever it is.
Okay, so for example, like if I fetch some data using JSON, then I can basically create the object and then render it using Vue.js, right? So that is,
So you're
that
fetching
can
data
be
using?
sorry, yeah, I mean, I was thinking of using fetch API or something like that
Yeah, okay.
to get the data, and then I basically render it on the client side
Yeah,
using
of
Vue.
course. That is what you are supposed to do.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
One question here regarding this Jinja 2 template. I'm not using anything when we are displaying in the screen except from the Vue.js. But for sending the email, okay, or to generate the HTML, which is converting it to PDF, there the Jinja 2 is allowed, right?
Yeah, then you can use. Yes.
That's
In the
what-
UI, it is not allowed. Yes.
Yeah, UI we are not using. And also, when you will come in the down, then I will ask again one. Okay.
I was seeing one more raised hands. Yes, Chandrasekhar.
Sir, I completed app dev 2, app dev 1 before the last semester. Okay.
September 2. Yes.
Yeah, September. So we are needed to design that backend app for this API as well. Okay. What doubt I'm having is that do I require to have the HTML full-fledged website, or only the API supported code will be okay on backend particularly? Like in MAD1, we designed a complete application HTML web page, and we were able to access the complete website.
So see, the application that you built in your modern application development one course, there the backend and the front end, they both were
Yes, correct.
very close to each other.
Yes, sir.
So that means you cannot run your front end without the backend and similarly. But here, the expectation is that you should be able to run your front end even if your backend is it.
Okay, so there is
Even
no...
if you go by with the same controllers, you can still use it in some way. But as I mentioned, that you are not supposed to use Jinja 2 in the UI. That means you can still use the same controllers. For example, you hit the base endpoint of your application and you render the index.html page on the user's browser, on the client's browser. But remember that you should not be passing any variables from the backend, that are to be rendered with the help of Jinja. Well, there is one more problem that you need to address there, that whatever the variable interpolation blocks would be there in your template, those double curly braces and all, they will actually get rendered. They will actually get hydrated when the HTML will be sent back to the browser. So you will have to think out of some mechanism through which you can avoid that rendering on the server side, so that you can use that rendering on the front end using Vue. So for that matter, you can use raw blocks in Jinja so that they don't get rendered at the server itself.
Okay, sir. So full-fledged working website is not required for the backend, no? That we did in MAD1.
Yes. It need not.
It is,
Your backend can be independent.
yeah, the backend should support the API calls from the front end. That is only requirement.
Yes.
Okay. Fine.
Anita, yes.
Sir, good morning, sir. Sir, apart from Visual Studio Code, is there any other tool you would recommend, sir, for Vue.js development?
Can you just repeat your last statement?
For the development, is there any other tool other than Visual Studio Code you would recommend for the development for Vue.js, sir?
Like basically depends on the user or on the programmer. So I prefer VS Code over other IDEs. You can even use PyCharm, you can use Spider, whatever suits you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Rakesh.
Yeah, hello, sir. I'm asking that there is a mail service for backend jobs. So the template of that mail service that should not be in the backend, and that should be in the front end. You are telling, right?
No, I did not get it.
You told that nothing should be like backend should only be for API calls.
Okay.
So the HTML template for email service. So what that template is
You can
supposed
have
to...
it in your. You can have that file in your backend as well. That is okay.
Okay. So for backend jobs, I can have the template in the backend side.
Yeah. You can have Jinja 2 templating being used for the emails part or for these monthly reports part. Yes.
Okay, and one more question, that the backend jobs, should I integrate that with the API side, or I should create a different folder with different port? Like I should
Of
serve
course, that needs
different
to be
folder.
integrated with your backend. You should have some endpoints that you will be hitting whenever that specific request has to be made. Just like you are implementing the rest of the CRUD endpoints in your API, similar way you should be implementing a few more endpoints for these purposes, for these backend jobs.
Okay, so for API and backend jobs, two different port I can create, right?
You can create, but I'm not able to understand how will you separate them.
Okay, okay, that is also true. Yes, yes, I have to integrate the two.
Manu Kumar?
Okay, got it.
Yeah. This Vue.js resources has to be served from the server side, or is it okay if it is in the just client side static?
So see, the entire purpose of using Vue.js framework so that the rendering happens at the client end.
No. What I mean is these Vue.js resources also should be served from the server, right? Let's say when you hit a base URL, you will get the index HTML or whatever, which loads all the Vue.js components and stuff. This is basically server holds it and serves it as the static files.
Yeah, of course, means you can have just CDN on the top of your HTML files. That is okay.
Yeah. So now that's what serving of this Vue.js resources also should happen from the server side, or is it okay if it is something local Vue.js installment? Server has nothing to do with it. I mean, I have all the resources in my local machine.
I'm not able to get it. Means how if you are not sending it from the server.
Let's say I have all the static resources in my local machine as a folder, and I will navigate from there.
So what is there in the static folder?
All the Vue.js resources, all the wirings of for different pages.
You mean the JS files or the Vue files?
Yeah, JS and both.
Yeah,
HTML
but still, if you need to use those, you should have the Vue CDN on the top of your HTML files.
Yeah,
so
that is there. That is there. That
So
is
yeah,
there. Yeah. All I want is clients can have something on their own, or should
yes.
completely on the server side.
Yeah. Means of course you need to keep those on the client. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so there is like no more raised hands. So shall we proceed further?
Yeah, yes, sir.
All right. So this slide just tries to explain what the project is basically asking for. So as I have already mentioned that quantified self application is used for self tracking. It can be used for tracking habits or other activities. So here we have tried to give a small schema for the database that you can have. So in the database schema, you should be having a model for your tracker. The tracker may have these many properties, or if you want to go with some other properties, that is fine as well. Apart from that, you should also have a model for the logs. The log should have these many properties like timestamp, the tracker it belongs to, what is the value, and any note that the user wants to add. Similarly, you should be having a model for the user as well. Of course, if you want to implement register and login functionality, so you should be having one model for user as well. So what else is there in the slide? Tracker corresponding to the tracker type. So a tracker, as you can see in this in the properties of tracker that are defined here, there is one property called tracker type. So user can be given options to basically select what type of tracker he or she wants to create. Now, those type of trackers can be numerical. If the user wants to feed a numerical log value to a particular tracker, it can be multiple choice as well. It can be time-based or it can be tooling. Numerical, it can be a running tracker where the user is logging that how many kilometers he or she has run today. Multiple choice can be, let's say, some kind of mood tracker, that how was your mood today? Was it happy? Was it sad? Was it moderate or some kind of that? Time duration, for example, you created a study tracker where you are just trying to log that how many hours have you studied today or maybe tomorrow, yesterday. So in that case, you can have time duration. Similarly, you can have a Boolean tracker, or if you can come up with some other types, that is fine as well. Logging an event to a tracker by providing value, that is what is supposed to happen in this application. And of course, when the user is logging those values, the user should be able to see some of the trend lines or some of the statistics against those logs that should be generated by the system, so that user gets an overall idea that how he or she is performing over a certain time period. Okay, so this was just a basic introduction of what this application is all about. So this is one of the examples. Yeah.
Just one. I don't think this has changed from last term's spec. Am I missing something?
Sorry.
The schema has not changed, or even the scope of the functionality has not changed from last term. I didn't notice any new thing. So can you confirm?
Okay, so you're talking about database schema specifically.
Yes. All the database
it can
schema.
Still be same.
Yeah.
It can still be same, but if you want to, let's say, implement RBAC, role-based authorization control. So in that case,
Okay,
you would be
RBAC.
required to have roles model,
Okay.
etc.
Okay. RBAC. Okay.
Yes, Mukesh.
Can you go to the previous slide? Yeah, for the numerical, I understood that we can do that some temperature, time duration. What about the multiple choice? Multiple choice means
like I just mentioned, you can have a mood tracker, right? Where you are giving users certain options, like how was your mood today? Was it happy? Was it sad? Was it some kind of other thing? A mood tracker is one of the examples.
This Boolean and multi-choice are, that's why I asked the question. Both look similar, except you can say yes, no, and there can be okay.
Do you want to have
Boolean has only two states. Multiple choice can be more than
exactly.
two.
Yes, multiple
And
choice can have multiple options.
if you want to bit extend, you can make more than one choice as well. For
very
example, you're tracking what all you had today, and you decide breakfast, lunch, snack, and stuff. You can, if you're following a diet and stuff, you can choose what you did on that day.
So
Just give an example.
That is not my question. I'm asking that in Boolean we are putting one checkbox and we can put yes or no, right? In multiple choice also there will be some checkbox, like as you told, like I said rice, dal, or something, paneer, something. So there will be only checkbox, or there should be some text box where the user is going to enter.
No, I think it's
it could either be a drop-down menu.
Yeah. That's right. If you go with the drop-down approach, you're still selecting one from many, one from multiple choices. But if you want to extend the functionality a bit, let's say allow more than one choice as well, free to choose. Like I gave you the menu example or food example of a day. You can go with checkboxes there as well with multiple options. At least I did that in the last term.
So when we are talking about the multiple choice, that means allowed to select more than one checkbox, right?
You can. That's what, if you want to extend, if not necessarily, as you said, yeah. I went with that approach. It can be a radio button as well, drop down as well.
So if I will going to put a single select, then that is enough.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thing is, if you extend it to checkbox, multiple checkboxes, it covers both the cases. That's what I went with.
I'm facing some problem in the Vue.js. It is not allowing because it's automatically getting render and all the values are getting selected. Okay, no problem. This way. Okay, can you just tell me about this this trend line? So the list of the logged event and maybe graph. So you want some numbers to be stored there, or whatever the user has logged in, that you want to show the logged event.
Yeah, let me again try to explain this with the help of an example. Let's say you create a running tracker and you are logging that how many kilometers you ran yesterday or day before yesterday, or over a certain time period. You are logging it on daily basis. Now, let's say after completing 1 week, I want to see that what is my trend line, right? How am I performing over the past 1 week? So for that, the system should be able to generate a graph where it should be, able to give you an idea that at this particular date you ran these many kilometers.
So this will be applicable only for this numerical or time duration. We cannot do for this multiple choice and below.
Multiple choice, you can go with pie chart.
Okay, we have to go by the means. Okay.
I'm just giving you some suggestions.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. I am also thinking that when you are talking about the graph, whether the pie chart is okay or not for this case. Okay, understood. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, all right. So this is one of the example, temperature tracker. Here you are able to see that how the logs can be logged. So example, this is the timestamp at which this log was made. The tracker, it belongs to the value that is currently logged, and if there is any note that the user wants to provide. And similarly, one more example is given here. One more example is of running tracker, a similar kind of thing that we saw in the previous one. Timestamp, the tracker, it belongs to the current value and the note. All right, so these are basically the core functionalities that we expect that each of you should be at least implementing. As you know that there are basically two set of vivas that will be conducted as part of evaluation for this project course. And one is going to be level 1 viva, the other is going to be level 2 viva. The level 1 viva is just going to be an objective-based assignment kind of thing for you. However, it is going to be a viva face-to-face interaction with one of the examiners. So there, what you are required to do is you are just required to show that whether a feature A or feature B is present in your application or not. As you would have already gone through the guidelines document, it is mentioned that you should be able to get at least 70% in the level 1 viva so that you can clear it and you can go to level 2 viva. So, scoring 70 in that viva is basically something that is must for you so that you can basically go for the level 2 viva. And for that, you should at least be implementing all of the core functionalities. It's okay if you leave out one or two in extreme cases, but your absolute aim should be to at least implement all of the core functionalities or the features that are given. The recommended or the optional part will come onto it, but it's okay if you are not able to go with those, but your aim should be to at least complete all of these. We'll go on each of these core functionalities separately. So this is just a single slide that is showing you what all things must be present in your project as the core features. So the very first thing is basically the user login part, where we expect you to be implementing token-based authentication or even cookie-based authentication is also fine. If you don't want to go with Flask security, you are okay even with Flask login as well. That is that works with the cookie-based authentication. Even Flask security uses Flask login internally, so that's completely fine. But you must implement cookie-based authentication or token-based authentication. That is must. It's not even mandatory for you to use Flask security. If you are feeling comfortable with JWT, you can go with that. No issues here. So you should have a suitable model for user similarly, and of course, the user should be provided some mechanism through which he or she can log into your application or probably can register. Yes.
What you told, we have made one login screen where the user, but we are giving the email ID, okay, and the password. I tried with the username, and but it's username even what you have replied in the discourse to enable one flag, but after enabling the flag also, it is not working for the username. It is working with email and password.
You're talking about Flask security, is it?
Yeah, Flask security, right?
It's okay, means you can provide the email and password as well. That is of no issue. And there should be some mechanism through which user can log in.
Okay.
Some kind of unique identifier for a user. It can either be a username or an email ID. It's okay.
Okay. And another thing is that here we are just talking about to log in it, but whether we need to have an option where user can go and create the new user account, or that we can buy.
I would suggest that you should also have the register functionality implemented.
Sign up user, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And anything regarding the forgot password or something that's not needed, right?
Not needed as far as this project is concerned, but if you want, you can still go ahead with it. Flask security even provides you some default mechanisms for doing so.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Heyman.
So regarding token-based authentication, where should we store the tokens in our application? Should it be cookies or in local storage?
That depends on you. Whatever suits you the best, you can go with that.
Will this be graded? Because reading online says that token should be stored in cookies with HTTP only parameter.
No, it's okay. You can even store it in the local storage as well. That is fine. See, what is graded here is, it is the part that you are using token-based authentication or cookie-based authentication. That is what is graded. In some sense, it does not matter whether you are storing it in cookies or local storages as of now.
Okay, but it is recommended to store in tokens in HTTP only cookies, right?
Yeah, you can do that. Yes.
Yes, sir, but I was not able to achieve that because HTTP only cookies are not available to the script. So storing them was only possible through headers, response headers, but it was not getting stored.
Why?
I don't know, sir. I was reading on it and it was saying that it needs a HTTPS protocol for that.
HTTPS.
Yes, sir.
Not sure. Can you please post it on the discourse? I'll have a look at it.
I saw already posted it in Discourse.
Okay. Not sure
would
if I
be
have
with
already
head-
seen that.
It would be with heading storing JWT tokens.
I'm not sure if I have had a look at it. Maybe I'll just do it after this call.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so this is what yes.
The cookie-based authentication means that the previous term, like we have used session, we can use that. You have shown
So how did you use session last time? I do not know.
With the hashing and with salt and all that setup, whatever we tried last time. It is using flash security salt hashing function.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that is fine. You can use that as
well. No, I think we have not used Flux security previous time. I have not used. Some people may have used. I've used that session where we have stored the user ID or username. From there we can access afterwards.
Yeah, ultimately sessions also stored in the cookie space. Yeah, that is fine.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so this was the user login, and that is also a core requirement that must be implemented in your project. Shall we move ahead, or there are still some doubts on this part?
Okay, so you can proceed.
Okay, thanks. So this is the dashboard part. Of course, one of the most important things in this project, where as it is saying that the dashboard with the list of trackers that the user has created so far, time of last review, value on tracker, etc., ability to go to logging, view for any tracker, ability to go to create or edit tracker, and ability to go to the specific tracker details. So you should be providing a list of trackers that have been made by the user so far. You should be providing some options to edit or view the details of a particular tracker on the dashboard itself. Apart from that, you should also be providing some kind of summary, as we discussed about, in form of trend lines, in form of graphs, whatever suits you the best. So you should be able to provide some kind of summary with the help of graphs to the user for providing an overall view that how the user has performed over a certain time period. Yes.
When we are showing this list of tracker, actually we have only 5 or 6 columns. So in that list of tracker, all the columns are showing. So it is required.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Maybe what you can do is one can be the serial number if you are showing it in the form of a table. The other can be tracker name. The other can be last log value, or of course you should be providing view edit buttons. That is okay. But apart from that, if you feel there is any other necessary detail that should be provided on the dashboard page, that is okay. But I guess these 2 or 3 things are fine.
So you are telling that even it is showing, we can give one button, like in the edit button already we are showing all the details. Same way there will be some button which will be show the same record in another page, right? As a view.
The purpose of edit button is so that you are able to edit the name of the tracker or the type of the tracker.
Right. No, so, what I'm telling in the view, what we are going to show the information like tracker ID, tracker name, description, that already is showing in the dashboard, all the columns. So it will be you can say as a term of application, it will be a duplicate information, as we don't have more and more column which can show in the details.
Yeah, okay, that is fine. Yes. Okay, but instead of showing the tracker ID, I would suggest you to go with the sequence number.
I'm showing the sequence number also, tracker ID also. Okay, I will just make one page.
Tracker ID may not be very much relevant to the user because user don't have to know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yes, Kamal.
Sir, while giving the edit option to edit the tracker, I'm not allowing the user to edit the data type because it will cause problem in graph generation. Is it fine from the evaluation point of view?
Fine, no issues, yes. Yes, Ravi. Are you speaking something, Ravi? Okay. I hope he's not audible. Yeah, you can just mention your doubt in the chat. I'll take it from there.
Hello.
Yeah, now you are audible.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, sir. Sir,
Yes.
I have a doubt on the time of the last review. Sir, in the MAD application one, what I was doing that I was, getting all the tracker of a user, and I am filtering according to the last, date on which that tracker has been created or modified. Okay.
Okay.
And sir, and then I was, showing according to the, you can say, tracker ID. Tracker ID matched the logged ID of that tracker. Okay. But sir, now, now I am, using the Vue.js. So my backend and front end has been separated. So now, do I have to call the, backend and fetch all the data of the, of the trackers of user, of a particular user, and then, filter again, and then, or there is any method from which, I can make just make one call and get the last, you can say, latest log entry of, of all the tracker of a particular user. Is there any way to do it?
Yeah, of course you can do that. See, let me just go back.
Okay.
So suppose you are having okay, so this is basically the model for a tracker. What you can have is you can also have one more attribute here. Let's say last track or last log. So whenever you are trying to log a value for this particular tracker, you just update the value of this attribute.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah, I can do it, but you can say it would not be it redundant, because I will tell you my schema. I have three tables. First table is users. Second table is trackers, and third table is for the log tracker data entry. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I am, keeping all the data of a tracker in the third table, that is, log table, then it would not be, you can say, yeah, I can, what you have said, I can definitely do that, but it will be a, you can say, walk around thing. Is there any mechanism through which I can, you can say, while giving fetching the data, I can pass any attribute, say, you can say, sort the data and get the first value, and then only get those data? Is there any mechanism, or you can provide any material for that?
See,
through which you can say I can learn?
See, when you want to show the last log value for a tracker, I am assuming that you are just showing the list of the trackers there. You don't have to do with all of the details of logs.
Yeah.
Right. So there is no need that you go to the logs table, do a query, sort it, and find the result.
Okay.
I don't think that is even relevant here.
Okay. Okay.
So I feel whatever two approaches that we have discussed here, the first one is basically the easiest one. That does not even require you to do some extra.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely easier. Okay. 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 Yeah. Thanks.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can you repeat that? Like to get the last log?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that in the schema of your tracker, of your model tracker, what you can have is you can have one more attribute along with these five that says last log time or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. And whenever you are basically creating a log or updating a log for this particular tracker, you just go back and update the value of that attribute. So that whenever you are fetching the values or the details of trackers alone, you still have a track when this tracker was last updated. You don't have to go to the logs table to find out which is the last value that is logged or which is the last value that was added.
Okay, so it will be in the tracker table.
Yes, you can keep an attribute in the trackers table.
Okay, so in the backend, I have to make two API calls, like two. I mean,
Why
two
two API
update.
calls?
Sorry, not API call. Two database update.
Why two
Like one
database
for
update?
one for whenever one log is recorded, then for the log table and for the tracker table.
Yeah, of course. Okay, in that sense. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So got it. Thank you.
That means here there will be a two column. One update stamp which will be linked with the tracker when we are updating the tracker, and another is required as a something like last log, which will be updated once we are updating, adding or updating.
So if you want to keep a track of the tracker updation as well, then you can do that as well.
Okay. Thank you.
I was just assuming that you want to keep a track of when the last log was reported for that particular track.
Yeah. That means it will be two columns. We need to rename tracker updated or logged updated.
Yes. In that case, you will have. Okay. So yeah, we were on this dashboard part. So any doubts specific to this dashboard part?
Sir, one basic question, sir. What is that suitable model? What does it really mean, sir? In the previous slide. Yes. Yeah. Yes, sir.
That means you should be having some basic or bare minimum attributes for your user model. You know, like username, email, password, etc., etc.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
For this graphing, can you suggest something, or for any tool which is easy, or we can use the matplotlib and save some PNG file and then we can show it.
There is one JS tool that you can use here, chart.js.
Chart.js.
Yes.
That can render while in the Vue.js also, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So in that case, you don't have to create the graph at the backend. You just have to get the data from the backend and create the graph accordingly.
Okay.
Is it okay if I generate base64 image and just render it in the UI?
Yeah,
as an image?
Sorry, I was not able to understand what you just mentioned.
I mean, backend, I'll generate base64 string for the image, the chart basically.
Okay.
And then show it as
and
a
you
symbol.
send it to your front end, is it?
Yes, as part
that
of
is
the.
fine as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Chandrasekhar, it is chart.js. Yes.
What Manu told Abhishek sir? You have to.
So he's saying that he wants to generate a B64 string for the image, and he just wants to send that B64 string to the front end so that the image can get rendered.
But how it will get rendered? That is the question. If it is
See, you need to understand the base64 image concept. Then you will get it. It will basically builds a big chunk of string which can be decoded to a pixel level string in the HTML document or even any other place, but HTML document understands base64 images. You can Google about it. You can learn.
No, see, if you go via some storage and then it is okay. But when you are using the file from the API to send back, so it will come to your JS side, okay. But from the JS side, how you are going to tell your Vue.js application that this is the image you need to render it?
That's what you need.
As a download, always it is getting as a download. It is not.
No. That's what I'm saying. It's a string, like any JSON object you receive, right? You have key value pair. It is as good as any. Let's say image is a key and value is simple big string, and that string value should go to your image tag in your Vue component. So then it will render an image.
Okay, let me try.
Yeah, you can Google about base64 images, then you'll get idea.
Okay, all right.
Is the API, Abhishek, is the API mandatory?
The API is kind of mandatory this time, yes, but otherwise, how will you interact with your backend using your front end?
I mean, an app dev one, we said that it is optional, so we built without API, right? So that's why we need to work on API or not. So
yeah, if you have not done it in your MAT one last time in Jan 2022 for this project, then you will have to implement one this time.
Otherwise, if with the existing endpoints, if I can simply still return the JSON, is that okay?
Yeah, Of course, that is fine.
I mean,
We are
it is
able
close to
resolve.
an API, but it's not really following the Flask way of implementing the API.
It's okay, means you are not using Flask RESTful is what you are saying,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
That
yeah.
is okay. That is okay.
Still, do kind of a workaround to imitate the API itself.
Yeah, but previously you would be returning the HTML templates.
Yes, yes.
But this
Instead,
time
I'll
you
do the
just have
return
to return
JSON
the
now.
data. Yeah.
Yes.
I
That
mean,
is fine.
do we need to implement Swagger docs, these things also, if we implement API?
So if you implement API, it's better that you implement or that you create a documentation for that as well. Because when an examiner is looking at your API, it is very difficult to go through the entire API in such small time duration. So it's better if you can just show your documentation, and that would be sufficient.
And just as a question, like I'm curious, can we use other implementations of API, maybe fast API, rather than using the Flask implementation?
No, you have to use
Okay.
Flask for the backend. That is mandatory.
Okay.
Hello,
Okay,
sir.
got it.
Yes.
So for API documentation, the tracker documentation, tracker log for those tables, that is okay. But for user table, that is implemented using the Flask security. So, do I have to mention all the type of errors?
See,
Or
whatever endpoints that you are implementing, that you should be documenting.
Okay, got it. So, and sir, the auth required that endpoint I should also mention. The login
Auth required. What is it?
That login / something called auth required. That was a for token to get the token.
Authentication. So token authentication.
Sorry, I'm not getting it.
When we are doing it, so we are passing this login credential.
The query parameter.
Okay. No. You need not document it. You are talking about Flask security, the endpoint through which the user can log in. Yeah, that is okay. You can leave that part. That is not something you have implemented. So is the dashboard part clear? Shall we move ahead?
Yes, sir, clear.
Oh, thanks. So here it is the tracker management. That means you should be able to facilitate the user with the CRUD operations for a tracker. That means the user should be able to create a new tracker. So that is something should be available on the dashboard itself. The user should be able to create a tracker, edit a tracker. The user should be able to see the details of a particular tracker. What are the logs that are registered against that particular tracker? What are the trend lines? How is the performance? And similarly, the user should be able to delete a tracker as well. Well, the new option that comes here is basically the export option. That means you should be able to export the data of a particular tracker. For example, you provide a button on the dashboard, or let's say that is specific to the tracker. Let's say even if you go into the details of a tracker, you provide something called download or export, some kind of that. So what it should do is it should the format is something that you can decide that we have not put any restrictions on. But the idea is that the user should be able to see all of the details of the logs that are registered against that particular track. Again, the format is something that you can decide. What we usually say is that students come up with a CSV format where what they do is they basically create the CSV file with the name of the tracker. The first row of that CSV file is basically the attributes of the log table, and in the subsequent rows, they basically show the log records. For example, the serial number, what was the log value, is there any note present, or what was the time or the timestamp when this log was registered. Similarly, you should be providing a list of records for whatever logs that have been registered for that particular tracker so far. So this is what the export option is.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, for the like the trend lines, I just had a question that is it mandatory to render it on the front end, or is it okay if we generate a matplotlib like plot in the back end and then push it to the front end?
So if you generate it in the back end, how will you push it to the front end?
Okay. Okay. I didn't think about that. So, so basically then you're saying that the right way to go about it would be to send the data and then use chart.js or something like that to render it. Is it like that?
If your backend and front end are closely coupled, then that way is fine as well. That means you can create the image using matplotlib and let your front end take it via the static folder. That is fine as well. But if they are loosely coupled, that means they are just independent of each other, then you have to think of some other things.
Okay, so I mean, as far as the project is concerned, like we are considering a loosely coupled system, right?
We are recommending it, not necessarily required.
Okay. Okay.
Like I just mentioned, you can still make use of the similar controllers that you might have designed or implemented for your Mat1 project in the Jan 2022 term. But this time you are not allowed to pass any variables to your Jinja 2 templates. That means you can still render those templates from the backend, but no variables should be rendered. And when that template comes to the browser, comes to the front end, you can have your Vue.js code triggered there.
Right, sir. But I mean, of course, like for the trend lines or the graphs, basically that doesn't require much of a variable, but rather like creating the graph. So then that will be better. If it's a loosely coupled system, then I might as well go with the chart.js, which you're suggesting, right?
Yeah, sure.
And
yes.
Okay, sir.
There is one more. Yeah, yes, Mukesh.
This export option for the tracker management, and if you go to the next slide, the logging, this export is only to download the tracker information, not the logging, right? Otherwise, what we are going to do in the logging, as you told that we can do it, there is no problem.
No. Can you repeat your last statement?
No, I'm asking that for this export option for the tracker, we need to just download the tracker information, whatever the tracker has created, not its related log.
So see, the thing that I just explained is fine as well. So this export option for logging and this export option for tracker, you can merge these two. And yeah, means you can just download a CSV file and you can just list out all of the details for your logs against that particular tracker. Because what is relevant to a tracker? It is just 2 or 3 properties, like what is the name that you are already providing as a CSV, the name of the CSV file. Other than that, there can be the last log value, there can be the last, there can be the tracker type, or yeah, only so many attributes or only so many these things. So it's okay even if you merge these two things and do that part.
What I done for this tracker one, I have just downloading the tracker details, and in the logging part, I'm showing the tracker.
So you are creating a CSV file, still a CSV file?
Yeah, CSV file, yeah. So
there is just one row in that, is it?
No, it will have multiple row because I'm putting from the dashboard of the tracker, not in the tracker. Means
okay. So you are basically listing down all of the trackers created.
Yeah. So in the dashboard itself, I given one button called export. When the user will click, whatever the trackers are there, it will go download. And once they will select any tracker and click on login, so it will open the logging details. And then we click on the download button. So it will take the tracker, which tracker they selected, and what the log will get downloaded.
Absolutely fine.
Okay,
great, nice. Yeah. Can fetch API be used for getting image? You can use fetch API for getting that P64 string if you want. Okay, so this is the logging part. So what happens is when you click on a tracker, then log the values. So yeah, basically there should be an option for a tracker through which a user should be able to register some logs against that tracker. So what the user is supposed to log, ultimately there should be 2 or 3 fields that the user should be filling. One is of course the log value. The other one is to be, it can be the note if user wants to provide any note with that log. The timestamp, I believe it should be, auto-filled by the system whenever the user clicks on the, log button. So it should be auto-filled. So yeah, these many things are probably required when the user is trying to register a new log. And once it is logged, the user should be given an option to edit an existing log. That means change the existing value. Timestamp, okay, the user should be allowed to change the timestamp as well. And of course, the notes value that the user would have made before. Then the remove log. Is my screen still showing the tracker management slide?
No, core logging.
Okay.
Logging. All right. So there might be a lag at your end. Was that Rakesh? Okay, yeah. So this is just similar to the CRUD for logging. Yeah. Is someone saying something?
Yes, sir, that might be network issue from my side.
Okay. Yeah. So here we are just talking about the CRUD operations for log. In the previous slide, we talked about CRUD operations for track.
Just one question.
And only export, right? No need to implement the import.
Import is, I guess, recommended. I'll come on to that. It is either recommended or optional. It need not be necessarily done for this project. If you want, you can do.
Okay.
But Abhishek, what do you mean by export while logging?
Sorry?
What is export while logging? I mean, this is logging screen, right? Like we are entering something.
Yes.
At that point, there's export option. What does this specifically mean? What do we export
That
right
means you are trying to
in this page?
You're trying to download all of the logs that are registered against a particular tracker. Let's say there is a running tracker and you have logged in that tracker multiple times, let's say 10 or 12 times. And now you want to download all of the data that you have added so far. So what you should be doing is you should ideally be having a button clicking on which the system should download a CSV file in your machine where all of that information should be provided.
Should this be again with the analytics part there or without that?
No, means you just need to provide the values. You just need to export that data.
Raw data, basically. You're kind of doing a backup on the data. Or even
got it.
Analytics part can be done on the dashboard, on the summary page.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess there was someone else who was asking a question.
I was just when we are putting this date time now, it will automatically taking the milliseconds. Okay. But whatever the controller I search for editing part, it's have only up to hour and minute. That is okay. That edit will show hour and minute, but when you put a create by default, it will show the millisecond.
You're talking about the timestamp.
Yeah, timestamp part. So when user is coming to tracker and he is not put it any value, so what we are putting, we are giving the date time now, current timestamp. It will automatically taking this milliseconds. And next time when you open in edit mode, and if they will change something, then the millisecond part is getting removed. Only it will show up to hour and minute.
It should not happen. And why is it only showing milliseconds or seconds? You should actually be providing the date.
Or during the create, I will just cut the millisecond part and store in hour and minute.
So it is not showing date at all, is it?
No, it's showing date is showing, hour minute is showing, but millisecond there is no option to select the millisecond in the.
I think that precision is not required for this app, I believe.
Yeah, milliseconds is okay. You can skip milliseconds part as
well. So what is happening when you download in the tracker, all the values which are default one that will show with millisecond and another will show without millisecond. So I'm asking, this is okay or not?
Okay. No issues. Yes, Pushpa.
Sir, in the export option, do we have to do it synchronously or asynchronously? Or
so export is basically a backend job. So that has to be done asynchronously.
All right.
Okay, so if we move to the next screen, so these are basically the. Yes.
Hello, sir. You have told it on Discord, but still, can you repeat the flow of implementing export import? Like we clicked a button and then what we're supposed to do? Like we have to create a task in the salary or that workflow.
See, I'm assuming that the implementation has already been written. I'll just tell you that how the system will work. Suppose you already have a job implemented that does all of the export. You already have an API endpoint implemented that triggers that task or that triggers that salary job. So what you are required to do is, as soon as the user clicks on that button that you have provided on the front end, you basically make an API call to that specific endpoint, which will trigger a salary job. Now that salary job is going to, create that CSV file and it is going to, fill out all of that data in that file. And once it is done, close that file and just send it to the front end if they both are loosely coupled, or just download it in any folder wherever you want.
Okay.
But this in this suppose user will not get the export file. Where they will get the export file?
So you will have to send it back to the front end once it is generated.
No, but when we are talking about the salary job, okay, the job is running in the backend, okay.
Yeah.
So, once the job completed, the salary doesn't have any, you can say, client side, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So actually, what we are doing in the salary job, we are calling the API. API will generate the CSV file and it will put in some folder. Okay. And salary job told, okay, my job is done, and he can send one mail to user that your email is or your CSV file is downloaded. Up to
so
that.
there are two ways. You can either use the Flask send file method in order to do that, or otherwise, if you're sending that email itself, so you can even send that CSV file as an attachment to that email.
Okay, that will be okay if I will send as an attachment.
Yeah, that you can do as well. Fine.
Okay.
Sir?
Yes.
So just to clarify, like export can also be done with email as well.
Yes, it can.
So I mean, either we can use download or we can use email, right?
Yes, you can either download it in the client system, or yes, you can either send it as an attachment to the email.
Okay.
If I choose to do it or email delivery method, can I just rename the functionality to send as an email?
You can just rename the functionality to
send to my mail, something like that, instead of calling it export.
That is okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically here comes the jobs part. Well, the export part is should also be done using these jobs. So the very first job that you need to implement is the daily reminders job. So it can be either done via Google Chat, webhooks, or SMS or emails as mentioned in this slide. So what's the purpose of having this daily reminder job is so that you can notify all of the users of your application to visit your application on daily basis. Right? That means you can select any time in the day, let's say 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., whatever it is. And at that time, what your salary job should do is it should basically fetch all of the users that are present in your database and trigger a message, an email, or an SMS, or whatever it is, asynchronous. Or of course, means it is done using backend job itself, using patch job. So that is to be done. I don't think there should be any confusions in this part.
No, there is no confusion, but there is one problem. When we are putting this cron tab, okay, in the salary system, it is taking the UTC time. It is not taking our local time. So if
you can set it to Kolkata, Asia Kolkata.
Oh, we need to pass some parameter.
Yes, you go to salary documentation. You will be able to set the time zone parameter.
Oh, okay. I was thinking how to convert from. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Let me just go to the first one. So yeah, here it is mentioned that which all things have to be implemented as jobs. So export jobs, reporting jobs, and the alert jobs. So alert jobs is basically that daily reminder job. Reporting job is the monthly report part, and export is the export functionality.
So just follow-up question on the previous topic. So that means we don't need to worry about the localization support.
Sorry?
That means if we do server time as a fixed time zone, we don't have to handle any localization support. It's okay if it always works on the one localization, which is India. Is that enough for this project?
Yeah, it's okay, fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so okay, this was the daily reminder part, the alert jobs part. The second one is going to be the monthly progress part. So this is where you can make use of Jinja 2 templating if you want, because you may have some placeholders in your HTML template that you may have. So in that part, you will be fetching the data from your database and you will be populating that HTML file accordingly. So this also needs to be implemented using the backend job. That means again, like I mentioned for the previous job, it should be triggered on daily basis, but this job has to be triggered on one of the days of a month. It can be the first day of the month, it can be the second day of the month. But since you will be required to demonstrate this feature during the Viva as well, so you should know that how to basically manipulate those parameters so that you can adjust the time accordingly, because you would be required to send a real-time email at that time during your Viva. So here what you need to do is you need to fetch all of the data that is corresponding to the user, how many trackers have been created by the user, what are the logs that are registered against each of those trackers, and how the user has performed in the past month. And you have to provide all of these details and send it as an email, and this report as an attachment in that email. So any confusions in this feature?
Can we send in the body instead of attachment this details?
Yeah, you can send it as an HTML as well. Fine, no issues.
Okay. And one more.
Okay, so as it is mentioned here, you can even okay, I guess not mentioned here. You can even provide a user with the option that whether the user wants an HTML report, that means in the email as the body of email or as a PDF.
Okay.
But if you just want to do it with HTML, then just go ahead with it, no issues.
And one more thing, during the Viva, because the salary, we need to change the time and then we need to stop and then we need to start. Then only it will take the latest time. So
yes.
During the time, we will just change the time, whatever time Viva will schedule, and then we can run manually. And so like 2-3 minutes later, we can just schedule it. And meantime, the job will execute. We can give the other Viva details, and meantime, the report can generate, right?
Yes. That also depends on the examiner. The examiner might ask you, right in the beginning of that Viva, show me this job. How is it working?
Okay.
At the same time, the examiner can ask you to do it in the mid or maybe at the last.
That time we can change to 10 second or around 10. That depends upon the Viva.
Of
right?
course, means you can keep a buffer of 2 or 3 minutes. That the examiner will help you. Examiner will guide you what should be the time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the next job is the export job. So as it is mentioned here that you can come up with any export format that you find suitable. And after that, you should be having a dashboard where this export job can be triggered. And once the user clicks on that button, you should be triggering the batch job. And you can even send an alert. It's not necessarily required, but if you want to send an alert, let's say, some of you were suggesting that you want to send it as an email. Well, you are already sending an attachment to that email, so that is fine as well. But when you are sending that file to the backend, the CSV file, in that case, if you want to provide an alert to the user, you can do that part as well, but not necessarily to be done. Is that okay?
That means, sir, whatever we are doing in the tracker export or logging export, it is the same thing. So one case we can show as a sync job and another case we can show as async job. That will fulfill the requirement, right?
No, I did not get it. Sorry.
There is one option called export option in the tracker as well as in the logging, right?
Okay.
So you want the both export should be async job or one we can show as
both.
Both has to be async.
The export has to be an asynchronous job.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Just a minute.
This is not mentioned here, that's why I asked.
So yeah, here it is mentioned that the backend jobs, what are these? So export jobs, reporting jobs, and alert jobs.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Sir, can you explain that alert once again? What you're saying?
Alert is a daily reminder part. That means you have to select a time, let's say 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. in a day. And at that point of time, you have to fetch all of the users from your database and send a reminder to all of those users. And, notifying them that you have to visit this web application or this website to log something or to do something.
It's a application-wide setting, not a user-specific, right?
Sorry?
It's application-wide
setting. Yes. It should be sent to all of the users. Yes.
Sir, I'm actually asking about in the last slide which you were talking about. So the send and there's a last point, right? Trigger a batch job, send an alert once done.
Yeah. So what is happening is that, let's say you have thousands of records, thousands of logs for a tracker. So it is not going to happen simultaneously. It is not going to happen instantly. So you would be required to do some wait there. And once that file is generated and you have basically sent that file to the user's machine or whatever it is, then you should be sending an alert to the user that your results are ready and you can download them.
Okay, sir. Okay. Got it.
The next core part is basically the performance. So with the performance here, that means we want you to cache all of the endpoints that are being used very frequently. So one example of it can be the list of trackers, right? Because the user will try to hit the dashboard part very frequently. Apart from that, is there any other thing that you can basically cache? So it can also be the tracker details part, because that is also not expected to change very frequently. So that part can be cached as well. So I'm not able to think out of any other examples as of now, but when you will be implementing this application, you would know of many other things which can be cached. But remember that you should be setting an expiry for all of those caches, right? It is very vital for for your system to basically set your expiry by yourself. Otherwise, it may not work as usual, or it may not work as expected. Caching is compulsory. Yes, it's a core requirement.
There is one problem in the caching. I don't know whether has faced or not. I implemented the caching in my API part. Okay, okay. So when I'm going into the browser, and for some time I have just commented the token part. So, and when I'm going from the browser and I'm putting that get command, it is working the caching. I can see the cache is working. But when we are calling from the view application, it is not working.
So even from the view application, you are just hitting the API endpoints, right? You are making the use of fetch, and you are hitting those.
But somehow it looks that when we are passing this self inside the get command, it is this some values are getting changed. I compare with 5 or 10 times, and I find this issue. I don't know whether others are facing or I am only facing.
Sorry, which parameter you are talking about?
In the API, we are writing this class. For example, suppose I'm talking about the tracker. Okay, so the API, suppose I've written the class tracker and I'm passing these resources, and inside my get function is there. Okay, and before the get, I put it this @cache.memorize 60 seconds. Okay. Now, if I will call from the browser directly, then I can see that my cache is working. What I done, I put it just one message. So when I'm first time calling, it is showing the message. Next time I will hit, it will not calling. That means my cache is working up to that. But the same thing when I am calling from the view API, means when I'm calling to the page command, okay, it's every time that message is showing. That means it is not somehow is not following the cache. Or maybe it is cached on the server side, client do not know. No, that should not be, because
no, that should not matter here. I don't know, but it should not happen this way.
Okay, I will try once more. And what about the UI performance? UI performance, what we need to do?
So UI performance is basically your UI should be consistent across the screens. For example, if you are seeing it on a laptop screen, then you shift it to a desktop screen of some different size, or let's say you shift to a mobile screen. So your UI should not break basically.
Should not break.
Should not break. That means it should not be disturbed. Yeah, responsiveness is what we are looking at. If you are using Bootstrap, I believe that it will be taken care of by Bootstrap itself.
Using the Bootstrap, I checked in that in the Chrome there is a facility to change it to mobile mode. But in mobile mode, what is happening? There is one scroll bar will come in the horizontal and vertical. The button is coming in the down part because it cannot accommodate in the that is okay, right? That much is okay. The screen is not breaking, but it will have automatically some scroll bar in the horizontal and vertical.
Yeah, that is okay. Those bars are nice.
Yeah, okay.
So one small doubt.
Yes.
I'm using different UIs for different screen. For desktop, there's a different UI, and for mobile, the UI changes automatically. Will that be okay?
Okay, so you are doing it using media queries or some Bootstrap classes?
Using Bootstrap classes. For last screen,
that is fine.
Sidebar.
Fine, no issues, of course. That would be, I guess, appreciated by the examiner.
Okay, sir.
All right, so this is basically the recommended graded part that can help you to score a few extra marks. I know that you know that level 1 is basically an objective-based Viva, where just the features are going to be checked. So maybe some part of the marks would be dedicated to these recommended or graded features. And if you have implemented these, you would be awarded marks on the basis of that. Styling and aesthetics are kept as an optional requirement here. So if you want to improve your application in terms of aesthetics, go ahead and do it. But at least it won't be graded here. But again, I'm telling it here that if your application is written aesthetically well, it will create a good impression on the examiner as well when you are showing your demo for the first time, because the examiner does not know who you are. You don't know who the examiner is. And when you show a simple or just raw HTML being displayed on the browser, it might not create a great expression on the examiner. So better that you also focus on the aesthetics. See, there is a difference between responsiveness and aesthetics. Responsiveness is a different thing. Aesthetics is something different.
To maybe give a small example on that, responsive mean in your desktop, the button can be a little bit smaller because you're using a mouse pointer.
Yes.
If it is a touch screen, you expect it to be bigger so that it has enough real estate to do a tap on it. So that's what responsiveness means. It should not be that it is so small you're struggling to click a button in the mobile phone or a tablet. That's what responsiveness means. Just one example.
Thanks. All right. So, right, this is the evaluation part, and these are.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I have kept the UI very similar with my previous project. So is that fine, or it will be some problem?
No, why it will be a problem? It is fine. No issues.
Like somewhere it was mentioned that we cannot make similar projects, even our projects. So that's why.
No, no, Abhishek. I think he was talking about plagiarism checker in that.
Yeah.
It's okay. This time it is a different project.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you.
So of course, means that was your project last time, and it cleared the plagiarism check, so there should not be any issues.
Okay. Like the bootstrap classes, I kept same from the previous project.
Fine.
That's
no
why.
Okay. Okay. So this is a very, very crucial part here. Please make sure that you do not make your project code available to anyone at any cost. Does not matter whether that person is a student in this program or not. Please, try to prevent this from happening as much as you can, because there are very strict actions that are being taken against such submissions or students. You can even refer to the guidelines document. We have mentioned it very clearly that very strict actions are to be taken against these students. Even the disciplinary actions can be taken. Right. So I would suggest you to go to the guidelines document that is available on your course portals, course project portals, and please read all of the guidelines. We have also provided very detailed explanation that how you can basically avoid plagiarisms in your project, and of course the consequences as well. Like in case someone is caught or some project is caught as plagiarized, then what will be the next steps or consequences? So yeah, this is a serious advice. Please keep it in your mind. I don't want any one of you to be a victim of this. All right, so this was the problem statement. Let me know if you guys have any other doubts related to the project.
Regarding, regarding the report.
Yes.
It is written is a well-designed report, but I tried one report like where I am showing the tracker and its detail. Okay, and it's coming when I am putting as an email in the HTML part to the mail route, it's showing correctly. But when I am converting that to PDF, somehow that some of the pages are coming blank. I don't know how to remove it. Okay, and it's not that much time that we can go and R&D this the PDF too. So is it okay that some report will be generated and it is not a very nice, but something is generated in the PDF when you are clicking on the.
It's okay. You need not worry too much about this feature, as it is just a recommended feature. So it's okay, fine.
Okay.
You need not emphasize on it very much. You just try to do whatever you can. Otherwise, just leave.
I tried to remove the first page. I tried. I don't know. It's not removing at all. And suddenly, this last 2-3 pages are coming with blank. I don't know how it is doing. I will try to find by today. Okay. Sure.
Sir, the folder structure is predefined, or we can keep it as we like it?
The instructions are already given in the guidelines document. What we expect you to do is that there should be a project root folder. By project root folder, I mean here is that all of the project specific files and folders should be kept inside this one folder. Let's say if you are building your front end and backend independently. So let's say you create a front end folder and you create a backend folder. Now both of these folders should be kept inside a folder that should be named with your roll number. It can be any other thing as well. And you have to zip that folder, the folder with your name. That means when we are extracting your zip, the zip file that you are submitting as your project submission, that should result only a single folder as the nothing else.
Okay, sir. And sir,
sorry,
just a minute. And sir, I was facing another issue. I was implementing celery in my application. So I am working on 2 different PCs. So on one PC it is working properly, but in another PC it always gives an error that import celery is not something related to import celery. It is not working. It's not letting run the application.
Import celery is not working. I don't know. I'll have to look at the code before asking
some issue with your environment configurations within.
Yeah, but I'm running the same script on both the systems. And I can see in the env, when I go, I can see the celery is there, but it is not able to import in the project.
Something related with the environment, it might not be some issue with the computer or hardware.
Yeah, and the thing is, I can ask this question on the forum, but I might not be able to share the code.
Yeah, of course. Then I would not even suggest you to do that. So you can do one thing. You can send it as an email. Like just send it as an email to me. I'll have a look at it.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. Abhishek, what sort of, like, let's say phase 1 and phase 2, right? Like, let's say we submitted the project. You said that let's say we separately implemented backend and front end separately.
Okay.
Should we include any run.sh such that you like inflate the zip file and then you run those files, or you just check the structure itself?
No, whatever project files that you are using, you must submit all of those except the virtual environment. That is heavy. You need not submit that, but otherwise, whatever project files are there in your project, you should submit all of those. Because what we are going to do is, we are going to verify that the project you are demonstrating during the Viva is the same that you submitted on the portal. And if there is any file difference, then there will be a problem there. So we'll be asking you to generate an hash for your project that you are demonstrating during the Viva, and we'll be matching it with the value that the examiner will already have computed from the project submission that you made on the portal. So there should not be any file difference.
There's automated checking, right? I think stage 1 maybe. Will you guys run the project on your behalf? Maybe, let's say, because if we run 2 servers separately, maybe there might be some port clash or something. That might sometimes result in.
The examiner can try to do that. Before coming into the Viva, the examiner can try to take a look and try to run your project.
Acha, okay. Okay. Yeah. And should all the core implementations should be mandatorily implemented, or let's say I might be working on PDF thing, not PDF, maybe export option. Maybe I'm not I tried my best. Maybe some issues with the code and it is not perfectly implemented. So can I go on submitting the project? Let's say maybe this is the last day. Can I go on submitting the project, or should?
See, as I am mentioning that there will be a level 1 Viva. So level 1 Viva is just to make sure that a project has sufficient number of features to be sent to the main Viva, to the level 2 Viva or not. And there you must score at least 70%.
Acha. Okay. So, because I mean, last time I think AppDev 1 team has shared the document about, I mean, what core features give how much of the like mark percentage or something distribution sort of. but I think right now you guys haven't like shared anything of that sort. So that's a question. Okay.
Yeah, so as I
Okay,
mentioned,
got
your aim should be to implement all of the core features, but still, if you are not able to implement, let's say one or two of them, that is still fine, but please don't go below that. That may be problematic, because if your level 1 YY is failed, that means you're not able to score 70 there, then you will just be given one more chance to submit the project.
Acha. Okay. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yes.
The add to desktop feature and also like the import jobs, which are like recommended and graded. So that part. So can you explain that once, like what is expected and what is it exactly?
You mean what is expected from the import job, is it?
Both import jobs and also the add to desktop feature. As in, what is it exactly? And I was seeing some discourse post where people were saying that add to desktop cannot be done if we are not using CLI. And then the reply that you had given was probably to adapt the already written code in CDN and then use CLI over it or something like that. So or it was for PWA or something like that. So I don't remember, but
so add to desktop itself means that you have to create a PWA version of it.
Okay.
Add to desktop feature is itself carry that meaning that you have to create a progressive web application version for whatever web application that you are implementing this time.
Okay, sir. And like, what is the import job really about?
Import job, like I just mentioned, that you can have an export job that is going to export all of the logs or trackers that are registered against the user account. So the import job can be very much similar. What you have to do is, again, you have to define a format, that what type of format you would be accepting. And let's say you exported one CSV and you again deleted that tracker, you deleted all of those logs, and you try to import the same CSV that you just exported. So by importing that CSV, the system should create that tracker with the existing logs that were provided in that CSV file automatically. This is what we mean by import feature. That means the user need not explicitly create all of the logs, all of the trackers by himself or herself. The import feature should be able to do all of them.
So, but I mean, if I talk about like in a practical sense, is this like a useful feature for a website, like to have an import feature? Because the reason I say it might not be is because if I'm already making the trackers and if I'm not purposely deleting them, then the database will already have those details, right? So why would I want to use the import file in the first place? Like, from a practical standpoint, not from the project, but just from practical standpoint, is it even like worth it if I'm making a commercial website? Is it even worth it having an import option in the first place?
Well, it may not be very much relevant to this self-quantified application, but if you try to relate it with the flashcard applications that you might have seen in the previous terms, so there it would make much sense, because what you are doing is you don't have to create each and every card or each and every tech, separately or explicitly on the web application. What you just need to do is you need to create a CSV file. You just need to write front card and the back card value, and you simply import it as a text in your dashboard.
Okay, sir.
Oh, so that time is going to be time saving.
Okay, sir. Understood. And sir, in the 9th slide of the PPT that is shared, so in that there is a create new tracker thing, and there you've written add cards to text. So that's just a typo, right? I mean, I think it's for the flash card application, right?
Yeah, that is a
typo. Just means that add new tracker to the database, right? Something like that.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, sir.
So regarding this project upload, okay. So we need to. You are telling that you are going to do the some check to compare whether the code has changed or not. But if you will delete our this environment, then whatever the source code we are giving, that will be a different, right? So we need to keep somewhere this without Win and because
correct, exactly. So, well, of course, you can always download it from the course portal as well, but it is recommended to have a local copy stored on your system, because what the examiner will ask you to do there is just extract the same file that you submitted on the portal, find out the hash. If it is matching, the examiner will tell you to just copy that virtual environment folder from the other project folder to this one and start working.
But copying a virtual environment will going to be work?
Yes, of course it will.
I haven't tried. And what about, there are some, like I am using this Visual Studio Code. I can see there are some folder called __ PyCatch in every folder. So that needs to be just copied, or that also need to be removed?
See, if you are sending it in your zip submission, so there should not be any issues. But if you're deleting it, so you have to make sure that when you show it during the Viva, that folder should also not be there.
These are
I don't think that folder will consume a lot of storage, so it's okay. Even if it is of KBs, that is fine.
Yeah, virtual environment itself taking 100 MB. Apart from that, it's our KB only.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we are saying, because there is a restriction that you cannot make a submission of more than 20 MB, I guess, on the course portal, or on the Google form, we are saying that you cannot even submit any file greater than 10 MB.
Okay. And
so the validation Google form that we have given, that does not accept any file greater than 10 MB.
And regarding this project report and the presentation video, that also been part of this project code, or that has to be uploaded?
Yes, exactly. They have to be kept inside the project folder that we are submitting.
So we can create one separate folder called doc, and then we can put our project report as well as MP4, right?
Yes, sure. But make sure there should be only one single folder output when we extract your zip file.
Yeah, I will put roll number inside that. Suppose I have the API and UX, I will create one more folder called doc.
Got it.
That is okay, right?
Yes. Yeah, so one more important instruction. Please don't forget to fill that Google form that is available on the course project portal on the same page of that submission link. That is very vital, because you would be submitting some correct details like project report or the project video that we'll be providing to the examiners as it is. So it is very vital for you to fill that form as well. And of course, the checklist. That checklist is really important for your level 1 Viva. Because the examiner that will be conducting your level 1 Viva is going to take a look at the checklist that you are submitting.
Where is this checklist? In the Google form?
Yes.
Okay.
So again, those are the objective-based questions, that whether your application has this feature, or this feature.
Okay.
These things. Yeah.
Sir, for the PWA, like the add to desktop. So for that, there was a discourse post wherein the person had said that they hadn't used CLI, but they were using CDN. And then they were they said that they didn't know how to move from CDN to CLI, and you had said to adapt the code, I believe, like copy paste and see things. So I'm just very new to Vue and development in general, and I haven't started the project yet. So what do you think might be the best way to go about, because there is limited time? So
I would not even suggest you to go for add to desktop feature. I would just suggest you to stick to the code requirements and try to complete that if you are a beginner or you are something new to these technologies.
Okay, sir. So but the add to desktop feature is graded, right? I mean, it has some marks, right?
It has some marks, but as I mentioned that the recommended and graded features, these can help you to score some extra marks. But again, if you have just implemented core features, that should be sufficient enough for you to clear level 1.
So when you say extra marks, is it over and above the total marks, or is it a part of the total marks?
A part.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Manu Kumar, do you have any queries?
No.
Okay.
Regarding this, when we are putting in the Google form, so it will tell whatever the mistake we have done, right? Suppose
it will tell whatever the mistake we have done. You mean the validation Google form, right?
Yeah, validation Google form.
Yes, correct. So it has again 5 or 6 flags. So all of them must be true.
So we need to just upload the zip file.
Correct. So
Get all
since
the
you can submit your project only once on the project course portal, this time you cannot make multiple submissions. So before submitting it on the course portal directly, you must validate your submission from that Google form, because if that is not validated and the validation checks are failed at our end, so we'll just be giving you one more chance to submit it. And after that, you will have to appear for the next term project course.
So for Google form, we will get the 2 chance to upload.
No, Google form you can upload as many as times as you want.
Okay.
It's only on the project course portal that when it is declared as invalid submission for the first time, you will get one more chance, one last chance.
So no, what is the difference between Google form and this portal? Both have the same validation, or it has a different validation?
Both have the same validations.
Okay, so whatever.
So since you are allowed to submit only once on the project course portal, so we want you to validate your submission on the Google form, because there is no restriction on the Google form. You can submit as many as times there.
Okay, got it.
Abhishek, could you explain? You have said that some if checksum mismatches and the like exportation of virtual environment port, like that folder. I didn't get that because I use Conda.
What is going to happen is
for my
the
development.
project submission that you will make on the portal. What we'll do is we will extract that and we will compute a checksum for that particular folder.
Okay.
Right. And that checksum, we will simply give it to the examiners that you have to validate the same checksum during the Viva. That means the student should be demonstrating the same project that he or she has submitted on the portal. So as soon as the Viva will start, the examiner will ask you to run a small Python code snippet over a folder that you are demonstrating. The examiner will give you the instruction that you should be using the same project that you have submitted before. So when you will run that code snippet on that folder, it is going to generate a checksum, again, a value. Then the examiner will match it with the value that he or she already had. If that value matches, the examiner will proceed with the Viva. If that does not match, the examiner will ask you to download it from the portal, or do whatever you can to basically find out a value that matches with the value that he or she already has. If that value does not match, the examiner will not proceed with the Viva.
Okay. Just making sure that whatever submitted is whatever presented.
Correct. The same implementation is being demonstrated that was submitted before. That is the main idea.
Okay.
So, sir, we have to make sure that what virtual environment we are keeping. If you will copy it, it should automatically fetch all the library or whatever the JS file that has to become.
Yes. Similar thing with the node modules as well.
Sir, after downloading the folder from the portal, our submitted folder from the portal, we can, in presence of the proctor, we can create the env file, right? Using the
See, I would not suggest you to create again a new virtual environment folder during the Viva, because it might be a time-taking process. So you better keep one virtual environment folder ready, and once the hash matches, you can just copy that and paste it in the required folder instead of creating it once again.
Okay.
The examiner may not like that. That's what I'm saying.
So instead of copying this virtual environment, because virtual environment has a 100 MB file, that is a big file. So we can download the file and we can just overwrite, accept the virtual environment, whatever the file, we can just overwrite it, right? To that our whatever the local environment we have created, that will be okay, right?
No, I'm not getting it.
So what I'm telling, I suppose whatever the project I have, that is the same structure, only my virtual environment folder is not there in what we are submitting in the portal. So or that whatever the Viva person is going to give me, I will take this one, I will just overwrite my code in the existing environment. So there is no virtual environment that will not overwrite, and all other code will get overwritten. After that, my project will work, right? I have not tested whether virtual environment copy is working or not.
See, it will work. Since I have tried it multiple times, even the Vivas that we have conducted over the past 2 terms, we have tried this practice. So it will work. Don't worry. You can even try it.
I will try today itself. Before
yes, sure. No issues. All right. Okay. Is there any other issue? Any other doubt? Heyman, yes. Are you speaking something, Heyman?
So what is the last date, and so what will be the timeline after we submit the project?
See, the absolute deadline for
Am I
submitting the
audible?
project is September 30. But if you would have read the project guidelines, we have mentioned that we'll be taking the submissions for every week. That means we'll keep extending the deadline from 1 week to another till September 30th. For example, the current deadline is 21. After that, we'll extend it to 27 or 28. And again, we'll do it week by week. So what we are basically trying out here is that whatever submissions have been submitted so far, within a duration of 7 days or 14 days, we'll start processing those submissions. We'll get their vivas done if the project satisfies all of the requirements. So what we are doing is we are just basically staggering all of these vivas, into multiple parts. But the last date, till after which we will not accept any submission is September 30th. After that, no deadline extension will be given.
September 30. Right.
Yes, 30, September 30th.
So suppose we submit the project next week, and then our level 1 Viva will start a week after that, and then level 2 Viva will be after that week.
Yes, we are expecting it to happen, but it also depends on the number of submissions we are getting in that particular week. If that number is quite high, then of course it may take some time for you to complete level 1 and level 2 bypass due to the high numbers. If the number is less, then yeah, we'll try to get it done as early as possible.
Okay, so I was just asking this because our next term will also start, and we'll also have exams for those subjects as well. It may clash.
Yeah, correct. It may, but again, if you have completed your project and you know that what you have done, so I don't think you require any extra preparations for the Viva.
Okay, sir.
Will there be a live change asked similar to Mad1?
Yes, there will be.
Okay.
Sunday up to which time we can submit the last so that it will run on the schedule on Monday?
I did not get it, sorry.
I'm telling, I'm asking that every Monday you are running the scheduler. What is the time
Yes.
of scheduler which is running?
What is the time of?
Time of that job which is running for the checking part.
Well, again, that may depend on the number of submissions we are getting, because means after every step, you also have to do some random sampling and do some manual work to do some sanity checking from our end.
No, actually, I have completed both the diploma. Now only Mat2 is this project is left.
So have you submitted the project? I don't think you have submitted, because
today,
I checked the
I will
complete
submit by today. Actually, I was just this folder structure I was getting confused, and I need to do this async job. Okay, I have written the code. And I will just make the video presentation. Then I will submit. Maybe max by tomorrow morning I have to submit.
Okay, yeah, all right. So you are submitting by Sunday. All right.
Yeah.
So yes, your submission will start getting processed on day after tomorrow. Okay. Anyways, yeah, we'll see.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I wanted to ask, when are we supposed to pay the fees for project?
So the fees option will basically be enabled when your project has passed the initial validation checks. That means the project structure is in the right format, the required files are present in the project folder, and the initial plagiarism check. So as we are saying that we'll be processing these submissions week by week. So the plagiarism check that we are doing initially is not the final one, because there are many more submissions that we are yet to receive in the upcoming weeks. So a final plagiarism check will be done after we have received all of the submissions. That means after September 30th. And if we find that any old submission is being matched with the new submission that was submitted on a later date, then doesn't matter if the Viva was already over, that submission or that student will also be flagged.
No, but sir, like in that case, then if we usually you give an attempt, right? One more attempt in case the plagiarism test
No,
is,
there is no more attempt. If the plagiarism checker flags your submission, then you will just given an option to submit a grievance that will be reviewed by an internal committee. So again, I would suggest you to read these guidelines on the document that we have provided there.
Okay, and so also I wanted to ask regarding the same topic. That is, if I use some styles from online, like some aesthetics from online, if I copy that or I use those styles which I like, will that also be flagged for plagiarism?
See, with plagiarism, we are not saying that even if you have copied one line or one paragraph from the internet, then your submission is copied. Not like that. We have defined some specific criteria that at least this similarity match or this percentage of similarity match should be there in order to confirm that whether plagiarism exists or not. Even after that, we do some amount of random sampling or some manual checking from our end. That means a human goes or sees that code to verify that whether this code can be copied or can be said as copied or not. So don't worry. Whatever submissions that we are reporting is plagiarized, we have done enough work for them to say that these submissions are plagiarized. If you are just taking a few of those things from the internet, it should not matter.
Got it. So one last one.
Sir,
Yeah.
Sir, I was following Narendra sir's code from the live session. So using those concepts and those structure, that is okay, right? Like how he like tweak the fetch function. So those kind of things is okay, right? Using.
Okay. So make sure that means of course you are writing that code yourself, and you are not sharing that code with anyone else.
Yeah, that is okay. But I was following the live session, and like how sir represented the fetch API from different folders. So folder structures I also have kept very similar.
Okay, well, it should not be a problem because as I have mentioned that we basically look for a high percentage match. And it's very unlikely that the other person would be taking the same variable names as yours, would be implementing the same API endpoints as yours. So I think you should not be worried.
Okay.
I guess someone else was saying something. Was it Manu Kumar or someone else?
Sir, I actually wanted out. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I had actually taken MED1 in December term, so I didn't have the same quantified self application for project. We had a different project, so I'm not very sure of how to go about it. So if it's possible to redirect me to some previous batch student who has done the first version, so that I can just see how it works. Right.
Well, I guess you are in a better position to reach out to those students than us.
No, I mean, usually you take like the top 10 students who have done good projects and post it somewhere, right? I mean, I got that for BDL projects also. So I thought if there is something with that for MED1, I can just have a reference.
Okay. So those students basically presented their projects in the Paradox event, but I don't think we have shared those projects with anyone else as of now. I don't think that we can right now share those projects with anyone.
Okay, no problem.
So yeah, like I said before, I guess you are in a much better position to reach out to those students. If you are not able to reach out to the person who was selected for the best project, maybe you can reach out to some other few people who may have done a decent implementation.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Yes, so Rakesh, so the suggestion given by Chandrasekhar, yes, you should keep it in mind. You should be making appropriate changes and sufficient changes so that it does not get flagged by any other person.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Sir, I'm still facing problem with that Flask security, and maybe I don't know, it is the issue of Windows 11. But will it be okay if I stick to, instead of Flask security, JWT based token authorization? Can I go with the cookie based approach that we did in the MAD1 in September term? Will that be okay?
You mean session based or Flask login based?
Session based.
It is fine. Okay, no issues.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Because that is taking too much of my time. So I'm thinking it would be better. if I go with the previous implementation. I can modify it and can go further.
Okay, so let's say even if you are storing your token in the session, you will be sending that token with each request, is it?
Yeah, that part we can do. That is fine.
Okay, fine, all right.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I somewhere maybe in this meeting itself, you referred to use Linux environment or WSL for things to run. So it is mainly the dependency for Redis, is it, or anything else?
Correct. Yes, for Redis.
Okay, what if I use Docker Desktop for Redis container and just go with the Windows system?
I think you should be able to do it then.
Yeah. So it's not a hard restriction, right? I should be running in Linux environment.
Yes.
Okay.
One more question. When we are doing this caching, okay. So
yes.
Is it required that we need to open this read inside and so that the values are getting stored in the database?
It is not necessarily required for you. I guess if it was demonstrated in one of the live sessions, that was just for your understanding that how it is working.
What problem I am facing? My data is getting cached, but somehow it is not able to display in the database. I tried many times with 0, 1 different indexes. It's not showing at all, but it's caching. Caching is working. That I'm sure. I'm not sure. So they will not ask that, okay, open the read inside or something, and so how the data gets stored, right?
See, I'm saying it is not necessarily required, but if the examiner is interested in looking it in details, then the examiner will ask you to do it. That as well. May ask you.
Okay, and I need to make ready that one.
All right. Is there anything else?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, I've just started doing the project. I am just trying to convert the previous implementation of Jinja with using Vue. So I have a question that previously we have done that a Vue app where we have done the endpoints and used some conditions and where we have called the data from the database classes and then put it in the HTML file. For now, we will in the render template we will return that HTML file, and from that HTML file it will go to the JavaScript, and the JavaScript will fetch the data from the APIs, and then it will get rendered. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
But if you go with SPA principles, you can just deliver one index file and then make use of your JS router and stuff, and then make all your APIs return JSON always. Then you can use a fetch API in your SPA.
So I believe that they are just trying to convert their Mat1 project into the Mat2. So in that case, it would be
That's
the
what if
thing.
if you home page index file anyway you had, and if you make that as an SPA, put all the your Jinja into one single index, make it SPA, and then all other APIs, CRUD operation APIs, you just return the JSON object, whatever data you wanted, and connect it. I mean, that's what I would do, but yeah.
Yes, I have used the REST API and it is written in JSON. I will use that Marshall.
Okay, if you have REST API, yeah, good then.
The previous time I've done.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if there are no more queries, I guess it is a good time to close this session then.
Yeah, thank you, Abhishek. Thanks for
Okay.
Thanks, Abhishek.
Great. Thank you all for joining with us in this session.
Thank you for your time,
So
sir.
we wish you all the best. Yeah, have a good weekend as well. Bye-bye.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, I was just asking, the API will be there, but can we do in some way that the JSON can directly access the database and then we can replace that HTML with that? Is it possible? I was asking.
JSON can directly access the database. I'm not getting it.
No, the JavaScript, sorry. The JavaScript file, we can directly access the database and then it is
See,
written in Python.
JavaScript file is going to make API calls.
Okay, that is compulsory then. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.